Sarah was just picking up her dropped pen when she saw it. Inside the quiet librarian's partly open desk drawer was a faded CIA intelligence badge. The kind earned after decades in classified black ops. But Connor Miller was just a college librarian who helped students find books. Or was he? Welcome back to A Story Every Day. Before we dive into today's mind-blowing story, drop your city in the comments and hit subscribe if you believe hidden heroes deserve recognition. Sarah Mitchell was desperate, 3 months into researching her graduate thesis on Operation Nightingale, a 1985 Berlin spy extraction, and she had nothing. Every database came up empty. Every expert said the files didn't exist. Maybe choose a different topic, her professor had suggested, but Sarah refused to quit. That's when Connor Miller noticed her frustration. Connor was the quiet librarian everyone ignored. 60s, dark sweaters, corner desk. Never talked about himself. Just showed up at 8 a.m., left at 6 p.m., 15 years running. Need help? He asked softly. Sarah showed him her failed searches. Connor studied the screen for exactly 10 seconds. Give me 30 minutes. What happened next changed everything. Connor's fingers flew across his keyboard like he was accessing a different internet. Database after database that Sarah had never seen. Classified archives, German Stasi files, Pentagon records, all with the precision of someone who'd done this before, many times before. 30 minutes later, he handed Sarah a USB drive. Operation Nightingale, complete CIA files, Stasi records, Pentagon assessments, and unpublished Washington Post notes from Berlin, 1985. Sarah stared at the drive. This is impossible. I've been searching for months. Connor shrugged. You just need to know where to look. But how do you know where to look? For a split second, something flickered in Connor's eyes. Then he smiled. Long experience with research. But Sarah wasn't buying it. That night, Sarah dove into the files. These weren't public documents. Half carried top-secret stamps. The other half shouldn't have existed at all. She Googled Connor Miller. Nothing. No social media. No digital footprint. Like he'd been professionally erased. The next day, she tested him. Connor, I need help with NATO communication protocols from the 1995 Yugoslavia operations. Without hesitation, deliberate force or determined force, the comm protocols were completely different. Sarah had never heard those operation names. But Connor rattled off technical details like he'd been there. How do you know this? I enjoy military history. That's when Sarah noticed everything else. His desk, organized with military precision. Passwords typed from memory, long, complex, government grade. Multiple security protocols running on his computer. This wasn't a librarian. This was someone hiding. After hours, Sarah cornered Connor in the empty library. I know you're not just a librarian. Connor's entire demeanor shifted. The mild-mannered library worker vanished. In his place stood someone alert, calculating, dangerous. Some questions shouldn't be asked, Sarah. I found your CIA badge. Connor went very still. You went through my desk. It was open. Connor, who are you really? A long pause. Then, walk with me. Campus cafeteria, corner table, 2 coffees. 32 years, Connor said quietly. CIA Analytic Division, Eastern European Affairs, 1976 to 2008. Sarah's world tilted. You're actually CIA. Was. Mandatory retirement at 65. No family, no life outside the agency. Didn't know what to do with myself. So you became a librarian? Connor laughed bitterly. You know what I did at CIA? Database analysis, information retrieval, pattern recognition. Same thing I do here, just different stakes. Operation Nightingale. You were involved. I planned it. His voice dropped. Successful extraction, But 12 people died because of intel we gathered. I've been carrying their names for 40 years. Sarah felt the weight of that confession. Why tell me? Because for the first time in 15 years, someone looked close enough to see past the disguise. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. 3 days later, a man in a black suit walked into the library. Federal badge, earpiece. He went straight to Connor's desk. "Mr. Miller, you need to come with us." Connor's face went white. Sarah watched them disappear into the director's office. 1 hour later, Connor returned, shaken. "Ukraine situation," he told Sarah quietly. "Some old operations resurfaced. They needed my testimony." That's when Sarah realized Connor Miller wasn't just ex-CIA. He was CIA royalty, the kind of analyst whose work still mattered decades later. Connor's thesis defense was scheduled. Her Operation Nightingale research was so thorough the committee was stunned. "Where did you find these sources?" Professor Anderson asked. "Our research librarian, Connor Miller. He has a government background." That's when the external examiner, Dr. Patricia Hayes, looked up sharply. After the defense, Dr. Hayes cornered Connor. "Connor Miller, Eastern European Division, right? I'm Patricia Hayes, former CIA. I used to read your reports." The secret was out. Within a month, Connor had an offer. Adjunct Professor, Intelligence Studies Program. His first lecture hall was packed. Word had spread about the ex-CIA agent teaching on campus. "My name is Connor Miller," he began. "For 32 years, I analyzed threats to American security. For 17 years, I hid in this library. Today, I'm finally ready to teach." A student raised her hand. "Why did you hide?" Connor considered the question. "Because sometimes the weight of what you've done requires silence. But Sarah Mitchell taught me something important. Knowledge shared, his burden halved." He looked at Sarah in the front row. The greatest intelligence isn't classified information. It's wisdom passed to the next generation. Connor's classes became legendary. Students learned not just about intelligence, but about the cost of secrets, the ethics of information, the responsibility that comes with knowledge. In intelligence, he would say, you learn that everyone has two stories, the one they tell and the one they carry. The art is knowing when each one matters. Sarah, now his graduate assistant, watched him transform from a broken retiree into an inspiring teacher. One day she asked, "Any regrets about staying hidden so long?" Connor smiled. "I thought I was protecting myself from my past. Turns out, I was protecting my past from who I could become." 6 months later, Connor Miller was no longer the invisible librarian. Students lined up for his classes. His story spread across veteran networks. He'd found peace not in hiding from his past, but in using it to build futures. Sarah graduated with highest honors, accepted to PhD programs nationwide, but she stayed, working as Connor's research partner. "Why?" Connor asked. "Because you taught me the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the greatest teachers are the ones who almost walked away." Connor nodded. "And sometimes the best students are the ones brave enough to ask the right questions." Connor Miller spent 15 years invisible, believing his past was something to escape. But Sarah Mitchell saw what others missed. That experience, even painful experience, becomes wisdom when shared with purpose. Sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear cardigans and sit in library corners, waiting for someone curious enough to look beyond the surface. The most powerful stories don't shout. They whisper until someone is wise enough to listen. Your turn. Have you met someone whose quiet exterior hid an extraordinary past? Share their story in the comments. Let's honor the hidden heroes among us. Thanks for watching A Story Every Day. Tomorrow, another story that matters. Until then, remember, the most interesting people are often the quietest ones. Subscribe if you believe.